Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Get early access to all of our interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats with writer and comic book legend D.G. Chichester, new episodes of classic Capes and Lunatics shows, including The Quantum Zone, This, That, or the Third, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes, or go to patreon.com/CapesandLunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Comics Illustrator Ron Friends, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Hello! Look up in the sky! Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it is an electric mullet! Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Electric Mullet, the Superman podcast. I am Phil, and that's it. It's me, Phil. That's right. Yeah, you're going to have to suffer through another episode of me babbling to myself because Tyler has been called away on work duty and Justin is on vacation and Mr. James Cole is acting as the magnetic North Pole, so we cannot move from this spot at the moment. So, yes, it is just maybe one of these days we can recruit some little hellfire here. But until then, yes, you are stuck with me. So tonight I'm going to tell you all about Adventures of Superman 447 and 448, although those will be the first and last issues, and then in the middle I'm going to get to Superman 25. So we continue on our journey in order here, pretty much. Once again, these Adventures of Superman issues 447 and 448 are not on DC Universe Infinite. I don't know why. Like we mentioned before, I believe it's Adventures of Superman 445 through 450 that are not on the DC app. Once we get to Exile and the first issue, that will be the first Adventures issue, that will be Adventures of Superman 451. Those are all on the app. And so, yes, once we hit 451, I believe we should be good on Adventures and Superman. And when Action returns at the end of Exile, yeah, we should be good on all three of those books, and when Man of Steel starts, I believe next year on this podcast. So yes, starting once not too far away from when we'll have 4 Superman books to cover. So we may actually cover 4 books every week once that starts, except for when we do specials, annual stuff like that. All right. Oh, maybe I should just be like, hey, if anyone wants to be an auxiliary backup host, be on call. Be on call if no one else can make it. But all right, Connor McKenna, I think of you. Too bad you're like 14 hours ahead of us in Australia. All right, so let's get to this. There's short synopses, so I will do the synopsis and then I'll kind of go through the issues nice and slow, like Tyler and I usually do. And again, remember we have the mystery of Gangbuster hanging over our heads still. Brainiac still hovering around out there, and Lex. We're going to get to both of them tonight. And next week, again, get 3 episodes this month. So, yes, for the final episode this month, you are going to get the first part of the Invasion crossover, where we'll cover the Invasion issue, Invasion 1 and 2, and 2 Superman tie-ins. But I'll tell you more about that at the end of the episode. All right. And again, you know what would help me when I'm here weeks by myself? Feedback, people. Send me feedback. I would love to be able to read feedback about these issues, which again I know is hard because these couple Adventures of Superman issues are hard to find, and if they're not on the DC app, then they're going to be. I don't think they're available for digital purchase, but yes, there are ways to read these online. And again, you can always, if you go down to your local comic shop, some of you may have dollar bins where these are at for probably not too expensive. All right, so let's get to... Oh, and I guess I should mention, today, did everyone see this, the recent behind-the-scenes pictures from next year's new Superman movie? We saw quick shots of Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, so send us your thoughts on those, too. What do you guys think about the new movie from what we've seen so far? And, I don't know. I was going to say, some of the news came out, but sometimes at this point, like a year out, it's hard to tell what's real and what's rumor. And again, once we start getting trailers, once we start getting more official stuff, send us your thoughts. Again, we'll read them here too. Sorry, hard by myself. Pause, take a drink. All right, So let's start with Adventures of Superman number 447 from December 1988. Over the Edge. Remember that title. Writer and penciler Jerry Ordway. Get the Shekels kid. Inker Dennis Jang. Colors Petra Skodish. Letterer Albert de Guzman. And editors Mike Carlin and Renee Witterstatter. Alright, like I said, quick synopsis, then I'll get into it more here. The mystery of Gangbuster continues, as does the war between Morgan Edge and Lex Luthor. That's right, kids. So the bad guys are going to be fighting it out amongst themselves here for a while, which might be kind of good, because Superman's about to be preoccupied with some stuff. Alright, so yeah, like I said, the Adventures issues aren't on the DC app, so luckily, yes, Old Man Phil has been collecting his entire life, has these floppies, so... Oh, that's the other thing, darn it. Alright. You don't need to be staring at my big head this whole time. That's right. Alright. Don't worry, kids. Some of the, like I said, well, the Adventures issues also, since they're not digital, it's going to be harder to get quality pics of these. But there you go. There's 447 for you. Alright. Alright, so it starts with, which was this? The USS Millennium aircraft carrier returning from the Persian Gulf. Remember, kids, this is 1988. It's coming into Metropolis Harbor, and I guess, somebody rigged the harbor with mines, so, yes, the ship's having trouble getting to shore, so, Superman shows up and detonates the mines with heat vision and takes care of them, but then, I guess, the ship, what is this? They took a hit from the mines, so they can't really come into their own power, so Superman gets some chains and I think it's the anchor chains, and drags the aircraft carrier into the harbor. And, of course, everyone's celebrating. And then Superman flies over to the dock to talk to Maggie Sawyer and Dan Turpin about these mines. And then Superman says, alert the bomb squad. And Dan Turpin says, hey, some mines have changed since the big one, but I could help. So I guess he was talking about being in World War II, which, again, I guess was sliding time. And with that, oh, God, that wouldn't even be Korea at this point. Would it? It'd probably be... Right, it would be in the Gulf War. So Superman starts bringing the mines up, and then they're saying who could be behind these, because some of the markings on the mines are quirky, and Superman's like, no, it can't be. President Marlowe can't be that brazen, even though he knows I can't just fly over there again and confront him. So Superman decides to let the FBI sort this out, and then flies off. And then later, at the United Nations building, security guards hear a big commotion, and then when they run in this room, and they say, oh, the place has been trashed, and then, out comes Gangbuster, and the cops say, boy, this guy's pretty quick. He's got to be the Flash's brother. Could this man have super speed? There's a clue to the new Gangbuster. Is he the Flash's brother? I guess, could he have super speed? But then we see Lois visiting Jose again. But then she's again asking Jose if he knows anything about the new Gangbuster. But then Jose surprises Lois by standing up out of his wheelchair. So, yes, these mechanical enhancements seem to be working. But then we see, at the, was this at Metropolis General? Or some nearby hospital. Yes, Milton Fine is having surgery to remove the brain tumor that, quote-unquote, made him think he was Brainiac. Milton Moses Fine, yes. Yes, and also a life-threatening brain tumor. But, of course, none of this, then again, the big announcement, the big presentation, none of this could be possible without our generous benefactor, Mr. Lex Luthor. Who I'm sure is not going to profit from this at all. But then the press is there. Oh, Clark's here. Clark wants to know, if Lex's philanthropy is merely a ploy to buy good publicity. And Lex starts to interrupt him. He says, I'm not finished. Your detractors claim this new operating facility was rushed to completion. Was that for Mr. Fine's benefit, or did you do it to counter the recent spat of bad press given to you and LexCorp? And Lex is basically like, yeah, we're a big company, and there's a tendency for the media to forget the good we've done, and he'd only mention that your editor, Perry White, has had a grudge against me that dates to my past ownership of the Daily Planet. And again, scroll down, see past episodes of this show, kids. Easiest way to do that, because again, on Capes, Lunatics, Sidekicks, all our shows are mixed in this and there. Easiest way to, if you just want to listen to all the Electric Mullet episodes, go to our YouTube channel, Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network, and yes, there's a playlist for all the Electric Mullet episodes. All the shows have playlists. But then we see a man come in and basically pushing everyone out of the way to get to his seat. Clark says there's something off about that guy. He seems edgy. Gives him the old X-ray vision scan, and the guy's got a gun under his coat. And Clark's like, I recognize him now. That's Max Carter, the thug who got away during that LexCorp weapons heist. Which we talked about 2 episodes back, which was the last issue of Adventures. Clark says he's planning to assassinate Luthor with one of LexCorp's own inventions. He can melt the gun out of the hands with heat vision, but that could be dangerous with all these people packed so close together. I'll try a more hands-on approach. Because as Max pulls the gun and says, time to go to that big donut factory in the sky, fat man! Clark grabs Carter and pulls his arm up so that, yes, the blast from the gun goes straight up into the ceiling and brings part of the ceiling down. But Clark tackles Toby Raines out of the way. I believe that's Maggie Sawyer's partner. And then Carter's slipping away, but he's caught by Lex and his security, who Lex tells him to get out of there. But Lex tells his people to have him followed and deal with him in private. But now Lex is like, what concerns me now is the identity of my savior. I saw someone grab his arm. I'm a generous man and I pay my debts. When you find him, offer payment. If he refuses, you know what to do. Again, in a few months here, Lex is going to find out Clark was the man who saved his life. And yes, what is going to happen when Lex thinks he's indebted to Clark Kent? We'll find out. But that will be on the other side of Exile, so it'll be a little bit. All right, and then we see Morgan Edge. He's on the phone with someone talking about the whole Carter situation, and then we see, who is this? We see Cat Grant comes in a bathing suit, because they are by the pool, offering him a drink, like wine or something, and Morgan Edge says that it's the best idea he had, hiring Cat as the new host of WGBS's mega hit Hollywood Tonight. And they toast to the start of a new friendship. So not only is Morgan Edge a bad man, but is he enabling Cat's drinking? Then we see Lois with Jose again, and I think she's helping him home. She's basically asking him about, advanced research laboratory that's helping him with this stuff that helps him walk. She's telling him not to be so blindly trusting of them. And then we see Inspector Henderson shows up and wants to question Jose about Gangbuster. Because he says it's no big secret. You were Gangbuster before you were crippled by Combator. And again, scroll down a couple episodes back, kids. He said, you're not a suspect unless you've been up and out of that chair walking about lately. We just saw him get out of that chair. Could Jose be Gangbuster again? Could that burst of super speed be due to these recent enhancements that help him walk? And anyone who knows the answer to Gangbuster is probably laughing at me. But yes, no, if you don't know who the new Gangbuster is, it seems like here, yes, Jerry Ordway and the crew are trying to add Jose to the suspect list, where it's like, well, he does have like these artificial enhancements to help him walk again, so it's possible. Maybe that's why Gangbuster's quicker, he's stronger. Well, you never know. Maybe he's doing this against his will. You never know. But Jose tells Henderson he'll help however he can. Then we see Lex at the office. He's all talking to, I guess, his personal assistant, Myra. Well, her name's Myra. But he's still bothered about the Max Carter situation. He doesn't want to be in anyone's debt. He's like, they were all reporters. He's like, they all love having their faces splashed all over. Why won't this person come forward? So then he's talking about the whole Jay Carter thing. He says, yeah, Carter implicated mobster Jay Fawkes, the man behind everything, keeping LexCorp out of the limelight. But then Lex is all like, someone's got Carter worked up over me. Someone with access to my operations, my weapon shipments. Because Falk wouldn't do it. Myra says, maybe a coincidence, but Carter was profiled in WGBS as America's Public Enemies. GBS, eh? So Lex is like, yeah, there's no coincidence. Morgan Edge has to be involved. He says, all right, it was Edge and Inner Gang. Have Carter disposed of and don't use any of our own personnel. And Myra, reassign my personal bodyguards to the motor pool and get me some people who know how to run security for me. Then we see the new Gangbuster walk into the Ace of Clubs bar. It says he's looking for someone named Bibbo. Some drunk says, try the circus. And then Gangbuster grabs him by the shirt and lifts him up and says, that was not a straight line, punk. But then Bibbo speaks up, and Gangbuster says, the newspapers call me Gangbuster. Bibbo tries to, says, bust this, and cracks a beer bottle over Gangbuster's head, which, besides getting his helmet wet, doesn't seem to have any effect on Gangbuster. He said, I want information. And Bibbo says, I'm tough. I like tough, so I'll let you know what you want to know. So, yes, he tells Gangbuster about the St. Regis. Then he told me I wasn't the only guy asking Gangbuster things. So there was thugs and cops outside, and Max Carter. Yep, that's where he's hiding out. So we see Gangbuster leaping from rooftop to rooftop. But then, yes, he gets to the fire escape, and Carter's got the window open. Says, nice night for a murder, Carter. You and I need to talk. As Carter tries to shoot him with that same gun, I guess. But Gangbuster springs across the room and, yeah, kicks him right in the face. He says, you're dangerous, out of control, and you tried to kill Lex Luthor. And he said, Carter's like, what's the deal? You working for Luthor too? And Gangbuster says, I asked the questions, Carter, and gives him the left cross. Who put you onto that LexCorp weapon shipment? It was Inner Gang, Morgan Edge. Those guys are heavy duty. I'm a dead man. Give me police protection. I'll talk. And then the cops are banging on the door, and Gangbuster says, you'll be seeing me again if you don't cooperate with the authorities. And he jumps out the window. But then Carter opens the door and tells the cops, I'm ready to talk. Please, you got to get me into protective custody. And then one cop says, fine. He says, hand over your weapon and we'll get your confession later. And as Carter hands over the weapon, the cop says, oh, that's good. Jerk. Anyone can fake police identification, and shoots the guy. Shoots Carter. But then the gun jams and kind of fries this fake cop. Because he says, my face, I'm burning. Stuff spilled all over me. I guess stuff from this high-tech gun. So, but the real cops, I guess, see Gangbuster leaving. I guess they caught some hoods outside. But yeah, this fake cop who got fried by his own gun is getting away. Gangbuster's getting away. Basically uses a light pole to launch himself up to the top of a 30-foot wall. And one of these cops says, Gangbuster gave me the slip. I thought Superman was the only one who could leap tall buildings. So again, I think we pretty much confirmed this issue that Gangbuster is either a metahuman or has some kind of artificial enhancement. So, but then, this cop gets a call from someone else. Roger, Max Carter's been killed. I'm betting your leapfrog did it. So yes. So right at this moment, everyone thinks Gangbuster killed Max Carter. But then, yes, Henderson gets the call. He says he sure it was him. And they're like, well, he was seen coming out of the window around the time of death. Because this is while Henderson's talking to Lois and Jose in his office. And he says, Jose, you're free to go. And Lois is like, just like that? Yeah, Henderson's like, any doubt I had you being Gangbuster's vanished less than half an hour ago. He was spotted. Yeah, telling them the whole deal. But he says, yes, we have reason to believe he murdered Max Carter tonight. And Jose's feeling responsible. He says, whoever he is, he's been inspired by me. What I did is Gangbuster. Something I did because it was right. It looks like he got it all wrong. Then last page, we see a bunch of people debating over Gangbuster. Is Is he right? Is his vigilante ways right or wrong? And then last two panels, we see Superman standing up on a rooftop above everyone. And the last one, he says, "So far, Gangbuster's been one step ahead of me, but now he's gone too far. He won't catch me napping again." Remember that phrasing, kids, for not next week, but I think in 2 episodes from now, when Superman says, "He won't catch me napping." I see what you did there, Jerry Ordway. Anyway, so yes, good thing we're deepening the mystery of Gangbuster. They're laying a lot of clues out here. Lots going on here. I mean, again, Lex doesn't realize it yet, but he's indebted to Clark Kent. Gangbuster, we've got a lot with Gangbuster and Inner Gang, and Gangbuster's now been framed for murder, and we pretty much know Jose is not Gangbuster because he was talking to Inspector Henderson when Gangbuster was seen. So Jose and Lois were with Inspector Henderson, so I guess we can cross those 3 off the list. Oh, and Bibbo, because Bibbo actually spoke to Gangbuster face to face. All right. Again, I like Gangbuster. I like the design of his costume. I wish they would do more with this character. Any version of this character. Maybe bring back Jose, because, I mean, spoilers, Jose will be back as Gangbuster eventually. All right. Now on to the second issue here. Superman 25. And again, if this cover don't hook you, I don't know what's wrong with you. All right. So Superman's problems are only getting worse here. And again, we didn't get a ton of Superman in this in Adventures 447. It was mostly a Gangbuster thing here. We got Superman in the beginning towing the aircraft carrier and taking care of the mines, but after that, not a lot though. Well, we did get Clark saving Lex, but yeah, there's a lot happening in 447. All right, so again, next we'll get to Superman Volume 2, number 25 from December 1988. Head Trips. Boy, I wonder who's going to reappear here. Writer the great Roger Stern, penciler Kerry Gamble, inker John Beatty, colors Petra Scodish, letterer John Costanza, and editors Mike Carlin and Renee Witterstatter. Brainiac is playing mental games with Superman. Yes, so there's your very long, detailed synopsis for this issue. All right, good night. Now, all right, so again, the old man has the floppies. All right, so this one begins. We see Brainiac and Milton Fine, aka Brainiac, duking it out with Superman, and looks like he's trying to blast Superman, and Superman saying, "Give it up," and Brainiac saying, "How many times must I tell you, Superman? There is no more Milton Fine. There is only Brainiac." And looks like he's really getting the Superman. He's blasting him in the head. He's like, "I'm in control of this host body finally, and all its marvelous psych powers. I'll be your master Kryptonian." And Superman all of a sudden doubles over and says, "What have you done to me? I feel..." And then we see almost looking like a shadow Superman pulling himself out of Superman, a la Superman 3. Yes. Oh, God. I mentioned Superman 3, kids. Superman 3, the greatest Superman movie of all time! Thank you, Charlie Puppet. All right. Oh, sorry. I know what Noel would say. Superman 3, the greatest movie of all time! All right. Go again. Heavy breathing. All right. So, yes, this shadow Superman pulls himself out of Superman and says, "Surprise, Brainiac. Didn't you want to see my dark side?" And the other Superman's there with just like this stupid little half smile on his face. He's like, "Not a pretty sight, is he?" And the shadow says, "Shut up, I'm in charge now." Then he comes flying at Brainiac as he panics. He says, "Too late, Brainiac. You let the genie out of the bottle. You've seen too much." Then it all goes to black, and we hear, "Mr. Fine, can you hear me?" "Ah, you're awake. Good." And it's Lex. Because Milton Fine wakes up. Top of his head's all bandaged. He says, "Who are you?" He says, "Easy, Mr. Fine. You're still recovering from a serious operation. I'm Lex Luthor." Gives him, "I'm Chief Executive Officer of LexCorp, blah, 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 blah. So you're in one of my special care units. My doctors removed quite a sizable tumor from your brain," which we saw in Adventures 447. Must have caused considerable pain. He's like, yes, I had excruciating headaches. Well, no trouble you no longer. My surgeons are the best. He's like, one of the comprehensive medical care is just one of many perks enjoyed by LexCorp employees. And Milton says, I don't work for you. And Lex says, not yet, but you will. As much as we can do for each other. We see we have a common enemy, Superman. And Milton saying, forget it. And he says, see here, Fine. Stop calling me that. Milton Fine is gone. Vril Dox now controls this body, and Vril Dox does not work for mere humans. So, yes, I guess the operation had the opposite desired effect that, everyone thought this alien delusion would go away, and quite the opposite. Milton Fine is gone. Now it's just Vril Dox. Because Lex says, how sad. I hope that removing the tumor will cure you of your bizarre alien possession delusion. And then, yes, Brainiac whips around, his eyes glowing, and says, Vril Dox is no delusion. Those who mock me shall feel my wrath. And Lex says, no, I think not, and makes a fist with his mechanical hand. And Brainiac hits the floor in pain. He says, we didn't really remove the tumor. We replaced it with some special bionic circuitry. On the plus side, it should augment your already impressive mental powers. And on the minus, well, you feel the results. He says, I thought best to insert a fail-safe mechanism between your frontal lobes with a control built into my own bionics. He says, oh, did I mention the backup systems? There's also a tiny valve implanted in your skull containing a substance called pyrogranulate. Amazing stuff, usually inert, becomes highly volatile if activated by a certain signal, say the one transmitted by my hand. He says, if I should meet a certain demise, if anything happens to me, whoosh. So basically, yes, Lex has given himself the ultimate dead man switch. Brainiac wants to live. He has to keep Lex alive. He says, I knew you'd come around. Then it says, days later, in the city room of the Daily Planet, we see Clark's asleep at his desk, and Alice comes to wake him up, and he has to throw his glasses on real quick. And then we see a guy named Lou come by saying, burn the candle both ends, Kent, or are you leading a double life? You don't know the half of it. But he says, oh, I haven't pushed the deadline this close in years. What was I writing about? Gangbuster? He has something about his return, but what? He's like, come on, think. And he's typing so fast, breaks the keyboard. And everyone's like, whoa, look what Kent did. He's like, I don't know what happened. The keyboard just shattered. I don't know how to explain it. And then all of a sudden, Lex bursts in with a bunch of LexCorp guys in those exosuits and says, I do. The answer's obvious. Clark Kent is Superman. And Clark's like, Luthor, how? He's like, that's absurd. This doesn't prove anything. And Lex says, this will. Let him have it, boys. And they both blast Clark. And not only do they burn his clothes off, revealing his Superman costume, but Superman says, Cat, Jimmy, you killed them just to get at me. You're responsible, Luthor. You'll pay for this. He's like, first your men and then you. And Lex runs away going, he's gone berserk. But then Superman catches Lex and says, you're not going anywhere, Luthor. You killed for the last time. And Lex says, no, you wouldn't. And Superman says, you won't hurt anyone ever again. As Superman punches him into the wall, through the wall. And someone says, holy smokes, Mr. Kent, Superman, you killed Lex Luthor. And one of the guys in the Lex suit says, the boss ain't gonna die alone. And Superman says, that's the way you want it. You can both join him, as he heat visions them both, basically vaporizes them. And the people in this Daily Planet are like, you fried him with his heat vision. Shh, don't let him hear you. And Superman's just standing there staring at his fist going, oh my god, what have I done? But it must have been a dream, because again, Alice is waking Clark up. He's throwing his glasses on, and he's like, oh, I must have had a nightmare. What a headache. I haven't felt anything like this since. Then all of a sudden, Alice seems to split in half, and Brainiac comes shooting out. He says, since what, Clark? Since you last fought me? Ha 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 ha. And he's like, Brainiac, I should have known. You're responsible for my dream, aren't you? Aren't you? And he gets his hands around Brainiac's neck, and then all of a sudden he goes, oh no. It's not Brainiac, it's Alice. He's like, but, and Perry comes around and says, my God, Kent, what have you done? Perry, I don't know, Alice. He says, you killed her, Kent. Have you lost your mind? You must have. As once again, rips his clothes get ripped off, at least his shirt, revealing his Superman costume, and all of a sudden Perry is Brainiac. To think you could hide behind such a flimsy disguise. And Superman says, you won't fool me again, Brainiac. You won't make me harm another living soul. You hear me? As he punches Brainiac, but all of a sudden it's not Brainiac, it's Lois. And once again, everyone's like, he killed her. He's gone homicidal. He says, God, forgive me. I killed her again. I can't believe this is happening. And again, another dream because, yeah, Alice is once again trying to wake Clark up, but this time he grabs his glasses, says he's not feeling well, and just runs out of the city room and runs up the steps to the roof because he goes, is this another dream? He goes, no, it feels real, but so did the others. How do I tell? He's like, I gotta get out of here. So he shoots up out of the planet, doesn't even take time to change into his costume. He just shoots up still dressed as Clark Kent. He's like, I'm not safe to be around. If my mind's turning against me, how do I know? He's like, if someone's turning my mind against me, I'm not safe to be around them. And he's like, how do I know that's what's happening? Maybe I'm losing my mind. And he yells, no! But this time he's up in space, so he's basically let all the air out of his lungs. So he tries to fling himself back to Earth, where he falls over 100 miles, it says. And the heat of re-entry has burned away his Clark Kent clothes, and once again he's dressed like Superman. And they show him laying there, basically out of it in a crater, just going, Brainiac. And we see Brainiac in the lab going, Superman. And we see from Brainiac's thoughts that, yes, the psi amplifier Luthor supplied allows him to reach out to Superman, but he couldn't maintain contact. He had him for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. He goes, and then when Lex comes in, wants to know how it's going, Brainiac says, it helped me ensnare Superman's mind in a maze of what I would guess were his worst nightmares, but then I lost him. And Lex is like, perhaps, guess. He's like, you were in the man's mind, don't you know? He's like, I've never had full access to his mind. Much of Superman's psyche remains hidden to me, and I don't know why. However, from the emotional feedback I received, I must have put him through hell. And Lex says, well, he must suspect you by now. And he's like, never fear. I've already prepared for that eventuality. So then we see Superman, I guess, coming into this hospital or like nursing home. Says he wants to see Milton Fine. But then one of the doctors say, no, the surgery was a complete success. The bizarre mental powers have vanished. He's responding well to therapy. He no longer claims to be controlled by an alien mind. And Superman says, I'd like to see that for myself, doctor, if you don't mind. So he walks in and it looks like Milton Fine's reading to some older woman. And Superman walks in, and then Milton Fine gets up and shakes his hand and says, I can't tell you how glad I am to see you. I owe you so much, sir. Were it not for you, I might still be roaming the streets or dead. And Superman seems all surprised, and the doctor says, just like I told you, Superman, he's not Brainiac anymore. But I am, as he blasts Superman with mental powers. And the doctor's revealed to be Brainiac. Says, just as I told you at our last 2 meetings, my true name is Vril Dox. Perhaps you'll listen now. Superman says, Brainiac you. And Brainiac's, Superman, such thoughts. I thought you were above petty vulgarities. Why, if the public could read your mind. And Superman launches himself at Brainiac, and he says, what are you waiting for, Superman? Kill me. That's what you want, isn't it? And Superman's like, I don't know. What am I doing? This is no dream, I'm sure of it. But Brainiac wouldn't goad me like this unless... And he sees from the reflection in the window he's standing in front of, yes, it's actually the doctor in his hand. And the guy he thought was Brainiac is another patient, I guess. But it seems, yes, the woman in the chair is Brainiac. He's like, your reflection gave you away. I'm on guard now. As he tackles Brainiac out the window, they go crashing through the window. But Brainiac starts to fly away. He's like, there's always next time. And Superman says, I couldn't get at him through that glowing force field. Where'd he come up with that trick? And as they're flying, Brainiac says, I owe you this, Kryptonian. You turned me over to the authorities, led to my operation, and that realized my full potential of Fine's powers. Ironic, isn't it? You've aided in your own inevitable defeat. But then Superman tackles him. He's like, even if I can't break through this shield, I bet I can hang on to it. But Superman, as they're falling towards the ground, Superman's like, this is wrestling Teflon-coated jello, but I've got Brainiac rattled. He's pulling us earthward. Ground's coming up awful fast. I can take the impact, but can he? Better not take any chances. So Superman puts himself under Brainiac. And WLEX newscopters there catching all the action. So Lex is watching from his office. Brainiac's using his mental powers to divert the water from this fountain courtyard they've landed in to blast Superman like a fire hose, but Superman's still coming. So he flies at the force field and ricochets off it. Superman saying, where's Fine? What happened to him? And Brainiac saying, alas, I fear that poor Milton's persona has gone the way of his tumor. But after Superman bounces off the force field, Brainiac's like, unfortunately, the power of Brainiac's not without its limits. Deflecting Superman's charge was quite draining. He'll return within seconds. I have just enough for a final diversion. So he shoots, blows up a car with his mental powers, and Superman gets in the way so the crowd doesn't get hit by shrapnel. Brainiac runs into like a cloud of smoke from the explosion, and it seems like Superman, knocks him around some, knocks him out of the cloud, and Lex is screaming, "That idiot!" And Superman says, "It's over, Brainiac." And Brainiac says, "No, I have one move left." And Superman says, "What? You'll not take me alive." And it seems like Brainiac sets himself on fire, so Superman puts out the body with the cape, but he's dead. Lex goes, no, he doesn't die unless I say he dies. Now Lex is all like, oh, he triggered the implant himself. The doctor said Fine was paranoid schizophrenic, but they assumed he was non-suicidal. What if they were wrong? What if he really was Vril Drox of the planet Kolu? I've lost my chance to learn of another world. So Lex is all mad, tells the secretary to get out. And then later at the city morgue, Superman's talking to the coroner and says, "You're absolutely certain this is Milton Fine?" And the coroner's like, "Yeah, dental records, and there was a few prints that were able to be taken from the left hand." He's like, "Who else could it be?" But then he says, "You look beat, Superman. Are you all right?" And Superman says, "Nothing a good night's sleep can't cure." Again, napping, sleep. Again, this theme is gonna pay off in a few episodes here, kids. It says, "Thank you for your concern and your help." And the coroner gets this sinister look on his face and says, "Of course, pleasant dreams." And the issue ends. Well, after an ad for Invasion, we get several weeks later, it says, Lex is all steaming mad because he says, what's going on? Priority projects put on hold, equipment orders rerouted, unauthorized programs cluttering up our computer mainframe, and you ask if something's wrong. He says, "I want to know who's responsible for this mess, and I want to know by this afternoon, or you can all clean out your desks." And everyone's like, "Is he kidding? Lex Luthor never kids." But the new programs came from his office, and he runs into his office and says, "I'm surrounded by incompetence." And he hears his voice say, "Problems, Lex?" And he's like, "Oh, you!" And it's Brainiac, alive and well. He's like, "There's no need to fire your staff. I authorized those little improvements." He says, "I'm sorry I've been out of touch of late, but I've decided on a bit of elective surgery to have your fail-safes removed. I found them inhibiting." So, yes, he's had the implant removed, and for a second there, he makes it look like it grows into some kind of like squid monster that's going to eat Lex's good hand. But he says, "Lex, it's all an illusion." He's like, "The whole city saw you die." And Brainiac says, "It's just a different kind of illusion, Lex, produced by switching places with a derelict outfitted to resemble yours truly. My stand-in was so rum-soaked, it was simple to set him afire." And Lex is like thinking, he had this plan all along. I seriously underestimated him. And now, and as Lex is saying, "It appears you have the upper hand, Brainiac. What do you want?" As Brainiac sits in Lex's chair and puts his feet up on the desk, he says, "I suspect that we both want much the same things, Lex. Why don't you have a seat? We have much to discuss, partner." So, yes, even though he's being forced to, yes, this is the first post-crisis team-up of the Luthor Brainiac team. So, yeah, so we'll see how this ends. I'm sure this ain't going to end well. You don't force Lex into a corner. All right, and for the last one tonight, we're going to get back to Adventures of Superman. This time, Adventures of Superman 448. All right. Yeah, sorry for the quality of that, kids. But like I said, with no digital copies available, it's kind of hard to get a decent digital copy of the cover there. All right. Adventures of Superman 448 from December 1988. Are these all December? Oh, I mean, I know sometimes they used to do like bi-monthly, like twice a month, so Adventures might have been bi-monthly at this point, but so yes, Adventures, December 1988. The Ledge, remember that 447 was Over the Edge, and now this is The Ledge. Haha, rhyming. Once again, writer and penciler Jerry Ordway, inker Dennis Jank, colors Petra Scotty, letterer Albert de Guzman, and editors Mike Carlin and Renee Witterstatter. Superman and Gangbuster both try to talk a man out of suicide with radically different approaches and results. So, yes, that is the overall plot of this thing. So, all right, this one opens, and again, that's where we open up. Superman's trying to talk this guy on a ledge off the ledge. Because Superman's saying, I can see you're in pain because, yes, this guy is, as we'll find out here, is the guy who got fried by the gun after he killed Max Carter in the previous Adventures issue. So Superman's trying to talk him down, and Inspector Henderson's kind of hanging out the window. But he's like, because Superman's telling this guy, if you jump, I'll just catch you. I'll turn you over to Inspector Henderson here. I'd rather I didn't come to that, though. Let me help you, mister. And he says, why do you care who I am? Aren't I just another good deed to you? One of the many little people you help every day? And Superman's basically telling him, my caring isn't diminished by the number of people I help each day. Saving lives is important to me, and I'm not sure you really want to end yours. You want someone to talk you out of this, or else you'd have already killed yourself in a more private setting. And this guy's like, no, stop it. You don't know me. You don't know anything about me. You change your tune if you did. And Superman says, try me. He says, look at you, so smug, so perfect. You probably think that you tricked me into spilling my guts. It wasn't you. I would have told that cop inside. Anyway, he says, my name's Willie Hargreaves, and I'm a hitman. Good at it. He says, never had any trouble until recently when I broke one of my rules. I used the victim's own gun to do him in. It shouldn't have backfired unless it was defective. It sprayed me with who knows what. LexCorp built that weapon. He says, I guess in a way you'd say Lex Luthor sentenced me to die, putting me here on this ledge. And Superman's like, you killed Max Carter. And again, we get the editor's note last issue. He says, who hired you to kill him? And Willie says, this is supposed to be about me. The doc says I was dying of some kind of radiation poisoning from the gun. And Inspector Henderson jumps out and I guess I don't know if he's trying to grab the guy. And Willie says, that's clumsy pig. Even half dead. No policeman's going to get the drop on me. And yeah, Willie basically gets Henderson in a chokehold and has a gun to his head. And he's like, now that's over. Let's get back to me. And he says, still want to save me? To Superman, he's like, I'm dying a slow, painful death. I don't want to suffer like that. And Henderson says, what's gotten into you, Superman? This guy's a contract killer. And Superman's like, Willie, we're not here to pass judgment on past deeds. Inspector Henderson is my friend, and I'll not let you harm him. Let him go. Don't make me come and get him. But yeah, crowds are down on the street. News crews down there. And Superman says, release him, and I promise to get you some help with your ailment. Maybe it can be cured. Star Labs. And Willie says, stuff a sock in it, Flyboy. Quit preaching. For where I stand, I'm holding all the cards. I believe you really won't touch me. You've had dozens of opportunities to do so. Super speed, heat vision, whatever, but you didn't. You can't help me now any more than you can help. You could have helped me as a kid when my pa beat me for bringing him his beer too slow. Nobody was there for me. He says, after I pushed him down the stairs, consequently in juvenile, kids prison, they beat me there too. You're just some guy who can move mountains and bend steel. What do you know about suffering? These burns are on the surface, but I got pain deep inside too. Normal things you can't hurt you. You're not even human. And Superman's thinking words can hurt. He says, you've confessed to the murder of Max Carter, among things. There are crimes. Those are crimes the court decides punishment for. I'm not your judge, jury, and executioner. Set Henderson free and I'll leave the scene. He says, what, have you lost your mind? And he tells Henderson, no, I'm not going to make him, let him make me do something I don't want to do. So again, I guess this is Superman not wanting to be put in a life or death, situation again where someone could die. Phantom Zone criminals. He says, let him go and give up the gun. And Henderson's like, no, Superman, no, I can't. And he's like, please do as I say. And Henderson's like, what are you trying to prove? So he lets Henderson go. Superman takes the gun. He's like, here, now leave. And Henderson says, I know I can trust Superman. Superman basically crashes the gun and tosses it back to Willie and says, I still advise you against jumping. And then Henderson's like, back to square one. But then, okay, new development here. We see someone watching from across the street, I guess, with binoculars saying, oh, I don't believe it. Superman's flying off. And this man is there with Amanda McCoy, who, if you don't remember, I think we've seen her once since then, but she was the woman working for Lex in way back in Superman number 2. What was that, like our second episode or third episode? Yes. And she was the one who came, basically used the computer to tell Lex, oh, Clark Kent's Superman. He was like, no, you idiots! No one with that kind of power would, lower themselves to live a normal, lowly life of a reporter. So, from what we have, I'm trying to remember if they explain it all here, but, yes. Long story short, Amanda McCoy's hired this guy, what is his name? Matt, believe it's Max Stockton? But he's a private investigator. Amanda's basically wants him to like help her prove Clark is Superman, and show everyone that she's especially Lex, that she's not crazy. So they're watching. I guess they're watching him. And remember this, kids. This Matt Stockton looks a little like Clark Kent. He's got the dark hair. He's probably built somewhat similar. So yeah, remember that. Then we see Morgan Edge talking about this whole thing about this whole thing is making Lex look bad, and all it took was a disgruntled former employee, Max Carter. Now all roads lead to LexCorp. But then his secretary interrupts him. He says, "I didn't want to be disturbed," and she says, "You wanted to know when the contract showed up for Cat Grant." And then Morgan Edge is saying, Lex was top dog in Metropolis till Superman arrived. Since then, most of his energies are being expended on the Kryptonian, forgetting his natural enemies, us. So, yes, war's a-coming, kids. And Morgan Edge all sitting there smoking a cigarette with his fancy cigarette holder. Again, a lot of your comic book villains do that with the fancy cigarette holder. Yeah, like the Penguin over at Marvel, the Red Skull has done it. So I think that's shorthand for, this guy's evil. He needs a really long stick to smoke his cigarettes. All right. So then we see Lex in the sauna. He's like thinking about how he's been blinded by his hatred for Superman. He left himself open to attack from elsewhere, like Morgan Edge and Intergang. And he's thinking about how the kryptonite ring cost him his hands. He's like, I've gotten fat and careless. And then he's thinking, I can't trust anyone or anything, especially now with Brainiac entwined in my affairs. And then he sees an image of Brainiac saying, Lex, who put all this paranoia in your head? And he says, how'd you get in here? Why, Lex, dear chap, I'm always in your thoughts. Ha ha ha. And Lex is like, now I can't even trust my own mind. Then we see Lois and Jose, and he's bringing her some flowers. He walks up to her door and brings her flowers. She says, yeah, boy, things are moving fast. She says, I'm surprised you're walking, no wires. He says, yeah, Dr. Happerson, remember him, kids, told me I was a good candidate for their microchip surgical implant. So the way he explained it, it's basically a mini version of the nerve stimulator harness. So yes, he has a chip installed. Remember that? That's going to come back. Yeah, he had surgery last week at Metropolis Memorial and was released as an outpatient 2 days ago. Boy, you think he's going to have any after effects like Brainiac can? He's like, I'm still required to work with ARL in the lab until the computer sequencer is fully adjusted to my rhythms. He's like, yeah, he's kind of not the steadiest on his feet. He's like, he compares himself to walking like the Frankenstein monster. He's like, I'm still pretty excited about this. And Lois is basically like, you let these people implant a miniature computer into your body just like that? Why didn't you talk to somebody first? You could have come to me. How can you be so trusting? And he says, you still don't trust them? Can't you see what they've done for me? I can walk again. And she's like, Jose, after the last time I saw you at ARL, I did some checking. They are a wholly owned subsidiary of LexCorp. And Jose's like, yeah, well, so is half the free world. And she says, we both know that Luthor was behind Combator, the villain that crippled you. And he says, this kind of balances it out then. He took my legs, and now he's giving them back. And she says, Jose, Luthor's gifts always have strings attached. Boy, we kind of dropped that thing with Lex giving her mother medicine. I'm trying to remember if that ever comes back. If so, it's been a while. It might be a while longer, too. He says, look, I came here to celebrate, not argue. And then the phone rings, and I guess he tells her about the jumper. And she's like, oh, he admitted to being the killer of Max Carter. So, yeah, she's like, I got to go check this out. And he says, he's like, it's always going to be like this. You running off to chase a story, right? Then we get an interlude page where we see an alien armada headed for Earth with Dominators and Thanagarians. And yes, kids, this is a lead into Invasion. Like I said, we'll start our 2-week Invasion coverage next episode. So then we see Henderson still trying to talk Willie off the ledge. But then all of a sudden, Gangbuster comes swooping in and lands on the ledge next to Willie. Kind of knocks him off, but then Gangbuster catches him and says, because Willie's like, I'm falling. And Gangbuster says, I thought that was your general idea, creep. Don't worry, I won't make it that easy. And Willie's like, what are you doing? I came up here to end my life. I'm a tortured man, a terminal patient. Gangbuster says, quit your whining. I've got no sympathy for you. You're a hitman. Every job you've done has brought you closer to this ledge. You made your choices, and I'll take responsibilities for them. You accepted to handle Max Carter, and in the process of exterminating him, took a dose of death yourself. An eye for an eye is what it's called. So if you really want to jump, then let's do it. And Gangbuster grabs him and jumps off the ledge. And we see Henderson, Amanda McCoy, Lois getting out of a cab, and they're just like, he jumped, I don't. And as we see Gangbuster fall and saying, believe it! Isn't this fun, he says. So then, yes, before they hit the ground, Gangbuster grabs a rope. I guess he must have had sitting there. But yeah, Lois is telling her photographer, who's not Jimmy, Gus, she's like, you getting all this? So as we see Gangbuster swinging with Max Carter, and someone says, that Gangbuster is a real daredevil, huh? I'm assuming that's a reference to, Marvel's Daredevil. So Gangbuster swings them back up to the ledge. He says, you're not disappointed, are you? I'm not going to make the life or death decision for you. And Henderson's like, hey, enough. The two of you, come in right now. And Willie says, I don't want to go in. He says, I want to go in. And Gangbuster says, not so fast. I'm not through yet. And Willie says, take me now. Please take me in now. And Gangbuster says, I want to leave you with this thought. I hope after this you do decide to jump. Just do it for the right reasons. Do it for all your victims, all the lives you destroyed in this pathetic existence of yours. But do not jump because you think fate dealt you a lousy hand. And then Gangbuster swings away, and Willie's like, hurry, get me now, please, before he comes back. And Henderson's like, yeah, calm down, give me your hand. So they haul Willie in, and as they're taking him away, one of the cops says to Henderson, looks like Gangbuster's methods worked, Inspector. And he says, that they did, Carl. Awful reckless, though. Hate to see this type of vigilante behavior take hold of Metropolis. And this isn't Gotham City. And the cop says, yeah, but he succeeded where Superman failed. And Henderson says, I don't like hearing that type of talk from a policeman, Carl. And then up in Amanda's, I guess it's a hotel room, Matt comes back, and she says, where have you been? That was an awfully long break, Matt. He's like, I'm really sorry, Miss McCoy. It won't happen no more. And she says, it's just that we've been logging a lot of long hours watching Superman and Clark Kent. I wonder if. And she's like, no, I'm right. I just need to prove that to myself. And so I'm assuming, we're adding a new suspect to the Gangbuster list. Matt Stockton. He's nowhere to be seen when Gangbuster appeared, but he's looking through his binoculars again. He says, I see him there in the crowd. And she says, who? And then I guess we see Clark coming down the sidewalk, but Lois is like, Clark, have you gone deaf? And she's like, Clark, what happened to your glasses? Because yes, he's walking down the sidewalk without his glasses on for some reason. He's like, oh, what? He's like, oh, they got knocked off in all the commotion. I put them in my pocket. And he's like, better? And she's looking at him and go, And then he says, oh, you're Jose Delgado, Clark Kent. Nice to meet you. So they shake hands, and they kind of get all awkward. So I guess they all both know how they feel about Lois. So she says, I see you two have a lot to talk about. I got a story to write. Bye, Clark. Jose, meet me back at the planet for dinner. And he says, oh, yeah. Jose's like, yeah, sure thing. And then as she walks away, Jose looks at Clark and says, I feel kind of weird, you and Lois. He's like, we were friends. And Jose says, she still cares for you, Clark. And he says, the way I saw it, Lois was always more interested in Superman. She never forgave either of us for, well, it's not important now, because we're not going to mention that ever again. He says, I wish her nothing with happiness with whoever. And then Jose says, well, what's going on? Lois told me you're working on a special assignment. He says, Lois really shouldn't be telling anyone. Guess you're not just anyone. I'm working on a feature concerning an international crime cartel known as Intergang. And Jose says he's never heard of them. He said, that's what everyone I've interviewed has told me as well. He says, hey, last I heard you were supposed to be paralyzed. And he tells him the miracle of modern medicine. He says, I know what you're going to ask next. And he says, no, I'm not Gangbuster. No, I don't know who he is. And Clark says, I wasn't going to ask. And finally, yes, we go to Smallville, which we really haven't seen a lot of this since like right after, the Pocket Universe, because we see Ma, Kent, and Lana like basically trying to rehabilitate Matrix, because not only is her body healing, but they're kind of having to like rehabilitate her mind, because basically it's like, oh, this is a picture of a tree. So she's basically like a very young child. mentally. But then meanwhile, she goes out in the yard and grabs a real tree and brings it to the front door. It says, "Tree, Matrix will help you again." So yeah, so she's not quite there yet. Then we're back at Clark's apartment. He's sitting there in his chair watching. I was gonna say it's night, but it must be early morning, even though the apartment's pretty dark. It says he's watching AM Metropolis. Cat Grant's filling in on the lifestyle segment. And she's basically, what's hot, what's not? The formerly molten Man of Steel has suddenly gone cold. And then she said the triumphant return of the hero called Gangbuster. He's been dispensing his own brand of justice. Nobody gives the guy a raw deal. Blah, 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 blah. So yeah, Clark's sitting here in his apartment, watching the TV. And again, the apartment's still trashed from when he had his nightmare. What was that? 2 episodes ago. He still hasn't cleaned up that apartment. Something with his mental state, perhaps? But yeah, after he turns off the TV, puts on basically takes off his Clark Kent clothes and flies out the window as Superman. He says, "What's going on with me? Have I lost my edge? Or are the people of this city really so fickle?" He says, "Have I really been screwing up that badly?" He's like, "I think the populace's perceptions of what a superhero is has changed since I arrived here." He says, I won't be the type of hero the Batman or Gangbuster is, for that matter." He's like, "It's against everything I hold dear. It's against everything I hold dear to me. Notions about truth and justice. This has been." He's like, "There has been less street crime lately, thanks to Gangbuster." But he says, "No matter, it's still wrong. We should teach by example, not rule by fear." And then he's like, "What's this?" He sees back entrance to a jewelry store's been broken into. The alarm's been cut or whatever. But then he walks in and the 2 crooks are all tied up and they're pretty bruised up. They've been beaten. He says, "Somebody beat me to the punch." And then he says, "What's the story, guys?" He's like, "Let me guess, Gangbuster." And they're like, "It was horrible. We're just thieves. We don't hurt people." And they're like, "He was an animal." So Superman takes them to the police, and Superman, as he's dropping them at the front door, the cop that comes out says, "Superman, you're early. Or don't you sleep?" And Superman says, "What do you mean by that? Of course I sleep. We're not so different, you and I." And the cop's like, No, I didn't mean anything by that. I just think you're just Superman." Then that Superman flies off. The cop says, "Boy, touchy. Must not have had his coffee yet." And Superman's thinking, "I shouldn't have snapped like that. I am different to some, but I'll always be a strange visitor from another planet. I'm still an alien to them." And then at the last page, we see, a ship heading towards Earth, and Double X and Project Cadmus have been alerted that there's a Thanagarian ship entering Earth's atmosphere. But they're saying it must be a scout ship using a cloaking device. And Double X is saying, "An invasion is imminent. We can stand back and wait no longer. Notify Agent Harper and the others. The safety of the entire planet is in jeopardy." And yes, as I said a few times, kids, invasion begins next episode. Again, we've seen the alien invasion forces are coming. And as I said, along with 2 Superman issues, we will cover the invasion issues, which will feature, all the DC Universe characters at that time. So, and at the end of this issue, as it said, next Adventures issue will have the Guardian and the Newsboy Legion. And we're getting very close here to the reveal of who is the new Gangbuster. I'm trying to remember. I don't think it's next episode. Maybe in 2 episodes, I think we're going to get the reveal of who is the new Gangbuster. Because he's going to get into a fight with Guardian. So yes, kids, he's not Guardian. And again, Tyler should be back next time, and Tyler should be here for them, but Justin will definitely be here for all of our when we do Exile, all the Exile issues, which we'll do in 3 episodes. So yes, Justin will be here for Exile. But like I said, please send us your thoughts, especially for episodes like this when I'm by myself. I would appreciate any feedback. We always appreciate feedback, but I especially appreciate it when I'm here by myself. So yes, again, you can email, regular email. You can email me audio so you can tell the world your thoughts in your own voice. Again, when we're live, you can always comment on, we're always live on Facebook and Twitter on the Capes and Lunatics podcast network feeds on both of those. So, yes, please, again, if you can't send in feedback, join us live and comment right in the comments right here. We'll answer you in real time. Except for, it's a little bit of a delay, a couple seconds. But besides that, it's pretty much in real time. All right. So, yes, as I keep saying over and over, next time we will cover Invasion 1 and 2, Superman 26, featuring a new villain, Baron Sunday. And, yes, and then Adventures of Superman 449 as the Guardian gets involved. And then after that, that'll be it for this month. You'll get 2 episodes of Nightwing News with me and Kristen. And then, yes, when we start September, the first episode of September will be the second part of our Invasion crossover with coverage with Superman 27, Adventures of Superman 450, where I believe we get that reveal who is the new Gangbuster, and Invasion number 3. So we'll wrap up Invasion. And then I'll try not to spoil too much for you guys who haven't read it before, you guys and ladies who haven't read it before. Due to events events that have been happening for months now, and after Invasion, Superman's going to leave Earth. So the other episode next month, the second episode, will be Part 1 of Exile from Superman 28 through 30 and Adventures of Superman 451 and 452. Like I said, that's when Adventures issues start going back up on the DC Infinite app. So yes, once we start Exile, all the issues should be on the DC Universe app. Nice and easy to read and send in feedback. And I believe all that Exile stuff's been collected in, I think in a few trades, a few different. So yeah, at least once or twice. So yeah, it's out there in trades. If you can find the floppies, they're not too expensive. And of course, all the Exile stuff will be on DC Universe Infinite. DC Infinite, you should pay us to promote that app. Anyway, yes, so please, like I said, send us your thoughts anytime. And again, doesn't even have to be these comics. What do you think of that new Superman movie coming? But again, feedback is always appreciated, especially when I'm here by myself. So send us your thoughts. And you may say, how can I do that? So hold on. All right, you can do that. If you're on YouTube, you can just read it right off the screen. If not, listen to me, and it'll be on the show notes for the podcast and the YouTube video. All right, so send us your thoughts. Email CapesandLunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And you can always find all things Capes and Lunatics, all of our shows, episodes, social links to social media, merchandise. We have all our classic merchandise on there. We have new merchandise with all our new logos, the Capes and Lunatics, Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks, which is where you're at right now listening to this, and the Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network, which is everything. So yeah, 3 new logos. There's merch with all 3 of them on there. Again, Rain ran the money on us. Please through the Cash App link. Again, if you want to be extremely generous, but every little bit helps.
Make it rain.
And, of course, the Patreon, or again, if you subscribe to our Patreon, that's another way to give us money, and you get exclusive content that only our Patreon patrons hear every month. Lilith and I give you at least 1 new Patreon episode a month, and sometimes you get early access to interviews we do, like our monthly Chichester chats, or we just talked to Mr. Tom DeFalco, Jan DeMatteis, Kelly Thompson. That's just the people we've talked to in the last month or so. So, yes. And again, any contribution helps us, make this podcast better and helps us get all these guests. So, yes. If you really want to subscribe to our Patreon and get bonus content, again, completely uncensored. So, you want to hear us at our craziest, subscribe to that Patreon right there, patreon.com/CapesandLunatics. But if you want one-stop shopping for everything I just mentioned, the merch, the Patreon, the episodes, all of it, tubespace.io/CapesandLunatics Podcast Network. That's tubespace.io/CapesandLunatics Podcast Network. And I know that is a long address, but If you're watching on YouTube, it's up on the screen now. And it's always in the show notes for all of our shows on the podcast and the YouTube videos. So, yes, if you don't know where to look for it, just look in any of the show notes for any of our episodes, not even just these Electric Mullet ones. It'll be there. And remember, you can find Mr. Tyler Patrick on his other Superman podcast. This kid loves talking Superman so much. He does a second Superman podcast, the Krypton Report, where he'll basically talk anything Superman, comics, shows, movies, animation. If it has anything to do with Superman, there's a good chance they'll talk. Him and Mr. James Cole will talk about it on the Krypton Report.
I'm tired of knowing everything.
And of course, again, our on again, off again Owl correspondent, Mr. Justin the Owl. You can find him all over the Capes and Lunatics and Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks podcast. You can also catch him on Gamma Charge, the Hulk podcast with Russell. You can catch him on Predator and Prey with the High Priest of Khonshu and Sausage Ray, where they talk all kinds of Predator and movies and comics. And the Lost Library of Legends is Justin's solo show where he talks about forgotten comics, a lot of them from the 90s, and just stuff people have forgotten about that maybe didn't have long runs. So yes, find the boys at all of those.
More vicious and brutal than ever.
All right, and again, come back next week because again, you're lucky kids. This month you get 3 episodes of Electric Mullet instead of the usual 2. So, but yes. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for keeping me company here. Can't pay much for babysitting, but get ready the fridge, whatever you find in the fridge. Have a snack. Yes, but next time, like I said, Invasion Start, the first part of our 2-part Invasion crossover. We'll talk Invasion 1 and 2 next time, Superman 26, and Adventures of Superman 449. And then, when we start September, we'll wrap up Invasion. We'll tell you who the new Gangbuster is, and we'll get right into Exile, and Justin will return for our 3-part Exile crossover. So kids, and please send us your thoughts. We love the feedback. All right, but until next time, join us for truth, justice, and the mullet way. Somebody join me, please.